Last night on AEW Dynamite, the Devil once again appears as his assailants take out the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn in a backstage segment. But who is the Devil? Do we have any more details behind the mystery masked person? We'll let you know about that. Plus, now that NXT is moving to the CW network in October of next year, could the developmental brand start touring instead of just being shot outside the WWE Performance Center? Mariah May is All Elite, making her debut last night on Dynamite. MJF successfully defends the AEW World Championship against Daniel Garcia. Samoa Joe vacates the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. The actor's strike seemingly is coming to an end, meaning John Cena's WWE return is also coming to an end. Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks is officially set for Full Gear this year. Rampage will be live this week, while Collision will be taped on Friday to air on Saturday. Ric Flair's next AEW appearance is revealed. There reportedly will be no AEW Collision the weekend of the World's End pay-per-view. We got the ratings for Tuesday's episode of NXT, and the original plan for the botch match for the number one contendership for the Intercontinental Championship on Raw is revealed. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about the Devil in AEW, the mystery masked individual, and his assailants taking out the Acclaimed last night on Dynamite. The mystery seemingly continues. In the main event of the November 8th episode of AEW Dynamite, Jay White defeated Mark Briscoe. AEW World Champion MJF got the upper hand on White, Juice Robinson, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn as he blindsided the group. He nearly got his hands on White, but Switchblade managed to escape. MJF then sent a heated message to White as he warned him that playtime would be over at AEW Full Gear. The camera then cut to backstage as a masked group of individuals were shown attacking the Acclaim, that being Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, and Billy Gunn as well. Bowens, in fact, got tossed through a glass window. The Devil then appeared on the screen, and MJF ran to the back, but the damage was already done. Samoa Joe walked up and noted that MJF was seemingly running out of friends. Now, the MJF, of course, teamed up with the Acclaimed and Gunn in an 8-man tag team match on the November 1st episode of AEW Dynamite. Samoa Joe has offered to be MJF's partner in his Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match at AEW Full Gear, but MJF has turned him down. The identity of the Devil has been a mystery since they first appeared on the September 27th episode of AEW Dynamite. There, the Devil and their assailants attacked Jay White backstage, but as of right now, we still don't know who that person is. Of course, many people have wondered if it indeed is Adam Cole. The Devil wasn't actually shown in person, he was just shown in video form. We know that Adam Cole did appear on AEW Dynamite at the beginning of the show, once again in video form. So do you think Adam Cole is the Devil? Who do you think the Devil is? Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments section below. Now, there's been a lot of NXT news this week, hasn't there, about NXT moving to the CW network in October 2024, and a potential major change that could be coming to NXT after the announcement of its deal with the CW network has emerged. The deal was revealed on November 7, with TKO stating in its earnings call that day that it resulted in a 70% increase in the rights fees for the show. Given that increase, it has now been reported that there's been talk of WWE using the extra money to move NXT out of the WWE Performance Center, where it takes place every week, and take it on the road. Addressing the possibility of NXT on tour on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said, quote, "There's talk about them taking it touring with the extra money. There's pluses and minuses of it. The pluses are if it looks good, if it looks better. We've seen with Raw, we've seen with everyone that when it looks good on TV, the look of the TV show is very, very important when it comes to viewership. So moving to bigger places will help to a degree. But the developmental aspect of the thing, if you are taking the people out of town with the travel days and everything like that, it does give them less days in the gym. It does take a lot of people who work with the talent away for a couple of days. So there is a negativity towards unless they do arenas in Florida. But the problem with doing arenas in Florida, there's only so many people before you burn out the audience, especially in that area. It would help the show. It would help the numbers for them to move to a bigger setting. They'd sell more tickets, things like that, bring in revenue in that way. I don't know if they'd sell enough tickets to offset the expense of going, but they might. All of this remains to be seen, but with the new money, it's more affordable to do that. It was definitely something that's been talked about, though, as far as moving tapings out of the Performance Center. Now, WWE NXT is currently aired on the USA Network, with that deal ending in October 2024, when the move to the CW Network will be made. We'll have the ratings for NXT later on in the show. But would you like to see NXT move out to the Performance Center and try going on the road? What would that look like? Would it be smaller arenas? And as Meltzer mentioned, would it just be in Florida, or would it be elsewhere? Let me know your thoughts and predictions about that too in the comment section below. Now, it had been a widely rumoured signing, but last night it was confirmed Mariah May is All Elite. During Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite, May spoke with RJ City backstage, where he introduced her as the newest member of the roster. May explains that she's modelled herself and her career after that of Toni Storm's, following in her footsteps in regards to wrestling in Japan's Stardom promotion and now AEW. Once City disclosed that Storm was not in the building, but would be willing to introduce the two, May kissed him on the cheek out of excitement. Reports of AEW having interest in signing May first emerged back in August and picked up steam when she faced Hanan in her last match for Stardom at the beginning of October. Shortly after, it came out that she would likely be paired up with Storm, which now seems it will be the case, although it remains to be seen whether they will be rivals or a team. We'll have to wait and see. Now, MJF did successfully defend the AEW World Championship last night on AEW Dynamite. He might not be in actually possession of the physical title bout, but MJF does remain the AEW World Champion. On this Wednesday's AEW Dynamite, MJF successfully defended his title, submitting Daniel Garcia in the show's opening match. Before the match, Garcia promised to go back to his professional wrestler roots after months of being a sports entertainer, but was unable to overcome MJF's attack on his arm, culminating in a Fujiwara armbar for the victory. After the match, MJF offered his hand in respect, but Garcia was stopped from shaking MJF's hands by Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, who were at ringside. Of course, MJF is still without the title, which was stolen from him by Switchblade Jay White, whom MJF will face at AEW Full Gear on November 18 in Inglewood, California. MJF recently became the longest reigning AEW World Champion in company history after defeating former record holder Kenny Omega on the October 28 AEW Collision. Wednesday's match was MJF's 9th defense of the title since winning it nearly a year ago at AEW Full Gear 2022. Now, Samoa Joe is no longer the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, not because he lost the title, but rather because he's vacated it. Just about 2 weeks ago, Samoa Joe became the longest reigning Ring of Honor World Television Champion in the history of the title, but the champion has decided his attentions are too divided. On Wednesday's AEW Dynamite, Samoa Joe vacated the Ring of Honor World TV title after 573 days as champion, following his 18th and final title defense against Keith Lee. The now former champion is determined to earn a rematch against the AEW World Champion MJF. The World Champion is still considering Samoa Joe's offer to replace Adam Cole as MJF's Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship partner, as long as MJF gives Joe another shot at the World Championship. Samoa Joe came close to defeating MJF at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, but MJF was able to sneak out with the victory. The move comes as multiple Ring of Honor champions are dual champions, as previously mentioned, MJF holding the AEW World and Ring of Honor Tag Team titles, as well as Eddie Kingston holding the Ring of Honor World Championship and also the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship. Samoa Joe won the title back in April of 2022, defeating former champion Minoru Suzuki on AEW Dynamite. As of this recording, there's no update on the future of the ROH World TV title. What are your thoughts on Joe vacating the title, and what does that really mean for the title and for Ring of Honor moving forward? Now, John Cena may be done when it comes to his WWE return. That's because the actors look to be going back to work. After 118 days, it looks as though the SAG-AFTRA strikes are coming to an end. On Wednesday, the Actors Guild released a statement announcing a tentative agreement with Hollywood's film studios, pending the acceptance of members. Quote, in a unanimous vote this afternoon, the SAG-AFTRA TV/Theatrical Committee approved a tentative agreement with the AMPTB, bringing an end to the 118-day strike, the statement said. The strike officially ends at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, November 9. The tentative deal will go to the SAG-AFTRA National Board on Friday, November 10, 2023, for review and consideration. Further details will be released following that meeting, end quote. With the seeming resolution of the strikes comes what is very likely the end of John Cena's current run in WWE. Cena had previously revealed that he came back to WWE as a result of the ongoing strikes, but stated that he would resume working on undisclosed projects once an agreement had been reached. The agreement between the actors and the studios also comes at an ideal time storyline-wise, as Cena was most recently seen losing to the Bloodline's Solo Sikoa, who then proceeded to deliver multiple Samoan spikes to Cena's throat. The former 16-time world champion then left left the ring to a standing ovation in what certainly seemed, on the surface, like a farewell. Cena made his return to WWE during the September 1st episode of SmackDown, finding himself involved in a verbal exchange with Jimmy Uso that turned physical. This only marked the beginning of the issues with the Bloodline, however, as he went on to join forces with LA Knight to defeat Uso and Sikoa at Fastlane the following month, before going one-on-one with the Enforcer at Crown Jewel in a losing effort. Now, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega will continue to team up and actually face members of the Elite at Full Gear. AEW Full Gear officially has its 7th match, as the November 18 pay-per-view will feature a tag team contest between Matt and Nick Jackson, aka the Young Bucks, and the relatively new team of Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, nicknamed the Golden Jets. The match was set up by a backstage interview segment with Renee Paquette on Wednesday's AEW Dynamite. It also carries 2 stipulations. Should the Jets win, they get the AEW Tag Team Championship match currently earmarked for the Bucks, but if Matt and Nick win, the Jets no longer team together, freeing Omega to join forces with the Bucks once more. As Bucks pointed out during the segment, the Elite, a group of wrestlers who literally put the E in AEW, have been somewhat fragmented as of late, leading to the current tensions. Matt and Nick won the guaranteed tag title match at AEW's last pay-per-view Wrestle Dream, leading many to believe they would be having a 4th match against then champions FTR, but that idea seemingly went up in smoke when FTR surprisingly lost the tag team titles to Ricky Starks and Big Bill back in October on Collision. The Bucks also recently lost the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championships to the Mogul Embassy, which they had briefly held with fellow Elite member Hangman Adam Page. Page himself has been embroiled in a feud with the Mogul Embassy leader Swerve Strickland. Omega, meanwhile, has been occupied with Don Callis and the ever-expanding Don Callis family, which has put him on the same side as fellow Callis-hating Winnipegger Chris Jericho. The pair are currently 3-0 as a tag team, with a Sega-sponsored street fight coming up on Dynamite next week that's set to involve Paul White and also Kota Ibushi. So do you think we could see the Golden Jets possibly getting a tag team championship opportunity in the future? Now, this week, AEW programming is looking a little bit different when it comes to live versus tape perspective. AEW Rampage will be aired live this week on November 10 in lieu of the typical filming taking place after the Dynamite taping last night. Also set for Friday, a pre-tape for the Saturday, November 11 airing of AEW Collision, so there will actually end up being some spoilers floating around after all, but for Collision instead of Rampage. AEW is getting prepared for a big upcoming week of shows after that as well, heading to Southern California for a pay-per-view and television tapings too. Saturday, November 18 is set to host Full Gear, which means instead of Collision being on that Saturday, it will be live on the Friday instead. With AEW Collision airing on Friday, November 17 at 8 p.m. Eastern, it will be going head-to-head against WWE SmackDown with another hour of AEW programming after. Rampage will still air after Collision, marking the last opportunity for hijinks before Saturday's pay-per-view, that being Full Gear. So get ready, another head-to-head next week. Ric Flair's next appearance for AEW has been revealed. It's not an AEW programming though. Obviously, Flair was revealed as the special gift to Sting by Tony Khan several weeks ago. His appearance on the October 25 episode of Dynamite was followed by the revelation he had signed a 2-year deal with the company. It was also revealed that by signing Ric Flair, Woo Energy has become the exclusive energy drink of AEW. Flair isn't just being seen on AEW television, however, with an appearance at an AEW Together event now confirmed. Posting on his Twitter account, Flair announced his upcoming appearance, writing, quotes, "I'm excited to announce that I will be attending the AEW Together All Elite Dunk and Shoot next Thursday night, November 16 in Inglewood, California, to benefit the BC Crusade." Now, this is actually the Brotherhood Crusade, which was founded in 1968 to provide necessary resources, program services, and a voice of advocacy to traditionally underserved communities. So Flair is going to be part of that event next week. Now, speaking of Collision, of course, we mentioned this week it's going to be taped. We've also got an update on what's happening in December. Now, AEW has been adding pay-per-views to its schedule recently, and that might end up conflicting with its fledgling Collision program. According to the Wrestling Observer's Andrew Zarian, there are no plans to air an episode of AEW Collision the week of the AEW World's End event. The news is particularly interesting given that Collision is scheduled to air the Friday before the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view, which will be broadcast on Saturday, November 18, but there are apparently no similar plans for World's End. which again is quite interesting. Why do you think that is? Do you think they're worried about going head-to-head, or is it just a case of it's the end of the year, so they're not bothering? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Now, we've got the ratings for NXT this week. It's been a big week, as I mentioned, for NXT. It was a big day for NXT on Tuesday, and not just because the show aired in its usual Tuesday night time slot. Just hours before, WWE announced that NXT would be moving to a new home in 2024, agreeing to a 5-year deal to air on the CW network. And whether by coincidence or by osmosis, the momentum from that deal seemed to carry over into the show. WrestleNomics reports that Tuesday's NXT drew 794,000 total viewers and a 0.26 in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic. Both numbers are a significant step up from last week's episode, with total viewers increasing 18% from last week's 670,000, while the 18 to 49 was up a whopping 29% from last week's 0.20. With the World Series wrapped up and no NBA games on the schedule, NXT became the first wrestling show in a matter of weeks to not go up against any sports competition. Regardless, the number should be seen in the company as a great sign, as the episode featured only a smattering of main roster stars, in contrast to previously high-rated episodes that featured big names such as Becky Lynch and Dominic Mysterio. Now, the show began strong with 793,000 total viewers and a 0.24 for Akira Tozawa versus Noam Dar, and would stay around that round for the rest of the first hour, peaking in all categories in hour 5, when 833,000 total viewers and a 0.29 in the 18 to 49 watched Bron Breakker versus Von Wagner. If there is any negative from that numbers, it's that they dipped towards the end with Dijak versus Tyler Bate, that main event drawing a low 719,000 viewers and a 0.25 in the 18 to 49. The overrun, featuring an angle between Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams and Lexis King, would salvage that number, drawing 791,000 and a 0.27. Finally, there was a lot of confusion on Raw this week when it came to the number one contenders fatal four-way match regarding the Intercontinental Championship, and the original plan for what ended up being a botched finish has now been revealed. As I mentioned, this week's episode of Raw gave us a four-way match to decide the challenger for Gunther's Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series. The match would see Ricochet, The Miz, Ivar and Bronson Reed compete for the spot, with some confusion leading to The Miz being victorious. The confusion came as Ivar had Ricochet pinned at the same time as The Miz had Reed pinned. Despite Ricochet clearly kicking out at 2, the commentators and referee didn't seem to know what to do and were almost acting like Ricochet didn't kick out. It would turn out this was because Ricochet wasn't supposed to kick out, and it was supposed to be a double pin finish. Ricochet was believed to be, quote, rocked or knocked loopy earlier in the match, which is what would have led to him kicking out when he wasn't planned to. The original plan would have seen both Ivar and The Miz winning the number one contender match, with Dave Meltzer going into further details on the Wrestling Observer radio show, saying, quote, Adam Pearce was going to go in and make the announcement that because of what happened, we're going to have a match next week between The Miz and Ivar, and the winner of that would face Gunther. That's how it was originally booked. The plan is to do Miz versus Ivar, and the moonsault that Ivar did on Miz was kind of an impromptu thing to have an excuse to do the match. The original plan with Miz and Ivar was for Miz to win, and it was Gunther versus Miz at Survivor Series. Unless they change their plans, it's going to end up Gunther and The Miz. So I guess they kind of got to where they wanted to go, but maybe a week too early. And again, the finish was certainly very awkward, to say the least. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.